I think Tevez going to Juventus, what a coup that was for me. I mean,
on a head-to-head battle, Atletico Madrid can do more damage to Barcelona than the other way around.
Either he's really blind or he's fixing the match. I can't see it any other way.
I'm trying to get Sir Bob on my side here by saying City will win the Premier League.
it is an upset. You would expect Man United to go and win there.
Over $1 billion was paid in transfer fees between the clubs in Europe.
It's football. It's damn football. Like Ferguson said, football. Bloody marvellous.
Yeah, well, the celebration was, I can't believe I just scored against Mexico. At one point, Parma, I think it's only like 224 players under contract. So they're going to throw me out of here, fellas. You're going to get me arrested on your show.
If you're a serious talent, you're going back and you're playing for Santos. You know, you're going back to play for, like in Argentina, for River Plate or Boca Juniors, or you're going to Europe.
He looked like the Ryan Giggs of old. He was more creative than any player on the pitch. He made Mata look stupid. He made Rooney look silly.
Now, the Premier League is the most exciting league out there. I think it's probably the best marketed league without a question.
When you look at the draw for the Champions League, you kind of say, well, all the pieces kind of fell into place for everybody except City.
I am your host, Joe Usello. Sir Bob, Mike Orr. My co-host, Rob Rojas. My trusted co-host, Ben the Machine. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 100th episode of Low Limit Football. I am your host, Joe Usello, and glad to be back after a great week of football around Europe and in the United States. We had two fantastic finishes in MLS conference finals last night between the Red Bull and the Columbus Crew in New York, and in Dallas with FC Dallas and Portland Timbers. We have our MLS Cup final matchup set, and it certainly is one that Don Garber cannot be happy about. We saw some exciting action in the EPL this week, where we're going to end up talking about Bibgate, I think is what we're going to call it this week, and wondering if there is a possible last longer bet between Jose Mourinho and Diego Costa. We had great action in the Bundesliga over the weekend. We closed it out today in Italy with a fantastic and dramatic 2-1 victory for Napoli over Inter in the Serie A. And don't look now, but Juventus is knocking on the door. Glad to be back again. And like I said, it's our 100th episode. We have two fantastic guests tonight. We have formerly of BeIN Sports, now of Fox, Ian Joy joining us in about 30 minutes. And we have from BeIN Sports, David Cartlidge, to talk about La Liga coming up as well. So looking forward to a big episode tonight for our 100th, and happy to be on the air and doing it with you guys. So let me throw it over to Rob Rojas. Rob, what's going on, man?
I'm doing well, Joe. Happy to be here for the 100 episodes and hope to be there for another 100.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Hopefully if people keep listening, I guess we'll keep showing up, right? So
Yep, definitely.
But what did you think of this week's action around the world?
Fantastic. If only if it was a bit better as it was in Red Bull Arena last night.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fantastic finish. And I do want to apologize to Luca. Apparently, I've sent him back into depression. There are meds for that. So, but it was, I thought Inter was going to pull that off. I got home just to watch basically the added time. And Pepe Reina comes up with a save that was ridiculous, where he pushes the ball wide and off the post. They hit the post twice in like the last minute and a half. It was amazing, but that Inter team is not going away, and we'll talk about it in a few minutes, that's for sure. So let's send it up to the Great White North. Mike Orr playing a little injured tonight, right, buddy?
I'm all right now. Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Good. So what did you think of the EPL action this week?
Well, I would think that Lucas should change teams, become a Man City supporter, and he'd be really back to the top of the table.
And take it on the chin to Juventus again? Sorry,
No.
Too soon?
Yeah, well.
Well, hey,
Both of those games could have easily went to City, though. Both of them.
That is true. They didn't. But that is true.
They didn't, but they could have.
And remember you said
nowhere near as bad as some of the Barcelona games, but of course, we'll draw Barcelona now.
Yeah. Well, Barca's, we were just talking about that before we came on the air. Barca's on an epic tear is what it comes down to. I mean, it can, we were talking a couple weeks ago about Bayern Munich being the best team in the world, boy, you got to start looking at Barca now, especially with Messi returning after El Clasico. Rob, what was it? They've scored 14 goals.
14 goals in 3 games.
In 3 games, they've given up 1. Crazy. And it's not like they played like, Little Sisters of the Poor and and the homeless shelter down the street. I mean, they played Real Madrid, Roma, and Sociedad. I mean, obviously Sociedad is not having quite the season.
So one good team.
Okay. Although, you know what, Mike? You know what? You are right. You are right. Because right now, Roma is playing god-awful.
Really bad.
Yeah. And it is what it is. So Madrid, and even Madrid's not playing that well right now, but Barca...
But it's still Madrid-Barca, so you got, whoever wins that one's had a big result, right?
Absolutely. And also, shout out to Liam, who's in the chat now as well. Welcome in. And glad you could be there for our 100th show as well. So, now Liam's here. Mike, let's get to the trivia question real quick, and we'll hit with our opening thoughts.
I just want to say one last thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Rob.
I'd be scared if I was River Plate right now.
Yeah, you think? It's not going to go pretty for them, that's for sure. But and obviously they got bounced out of the Sudamericana this week as well. So, so Mike, heading over to you. What do you got for us?
Okay. Who was the first non-European player to score 20 or more goals in a Premier League season?
Got it. I have some names. Should be easy. I think Joe will get it this year.
I wrote one.
You got more confidence in Joe than I do.
I wrote one. And that reaction, Mike, I got to say just real quick before we hit our opening thoughts. Obviously, Thanksgiving here in the United States last week, and my parents were here, and my dad loves a movie called Johnny Stecchino. You guys might have heard of the actor Roberto Benigni.
Oh yeah,
I think he won the Academy Award for Life is Beautiful, if you guys remember correctly. But he played in a movie, that really got the Italian spread, which was Johnny Stecchino or Johnny Toothpick. It's about a mobster that has basically, how you have like one of those life doubles. Well, this mobster has a life double who lives in Italy, and the mobster lives in Palermo. And it's a comedy. It's a hilarious comedy. It does lose it in translation if you're like reading the subtitles, but it's hilarious. So the double is a guy named Dante, and he drives a school bus for mentally challenged. A lot of kids with Down syndrome and that sort of thing. Takes him to a special school, and his best friend is this kid called his name Lilo. And so, Mike, your reaction where you went like that. Every time, I guess, Dante went to a party where there were lots of women and there was all kinds of stuff going on, and basically Dante says that he ended up, with this woman, and in Italian, Lilo says, "Did you make love to her?" But it's quick. He'll look at him and go, "Did you make love to her?" And Dante goes, "No," and he goes, like that, like. And like I said, it loses in the translation, but it's hilarious to see, especially with Lilo's reaction on his face. It's just like that. Jesus, you're so bad, and so that reaction is when you made that noise. I was like, oh my God, it's Lilo on the other side of this. So sorry, long story to get to a short ending, but I do have a guess for them on non-Euro with 20 plus goals in a season, right?
First one ever.
First one
ever. First non-Euro with 20 goals, 20 plus in a season.
20 or more, yeah.
Yep. So
20 or more.
20 or more. So
yes.
I have one name written down. It's an obvious one. It's probably wrong because I would imagine there must have been some Euro before that person that scored 20 goals. So
non-Euro.
We'll figure. Oh, non-Euro, right.
I think you got it right.
Wow.
Let's see.
Just based on that, I think you might have it right. We'll see. Let me see my read at the end of the show.
Yeah. We'll have
my read was right that you didn't have that one right a couple weeks ago that you were so sure on. Remember? Just because you said, you thought he was still playing. I can't remember what it was, but you were so sure you had it right.
No, that was the.
He even wrote it in description. Joe thought he had it right, but he didn't.
That was the Ibrahimovic one. That was I had Di Maria, and you were like, nope, and I'm like, that's not cool. But and I'm assuming Liam sent you the message already.
I haven't checked yet. I'm sure he will though.
All right, so let's head over to our opening thoughts because I know we want to whip through this quickly because we're going to do our league coverage first. I know Ian will be here at about 6:30 or so. So we do want to hit our league coverage. So our opening thoughts, gentlemen, tonight is we had some history made in the EPL this week, and that was Jamie Vardy setting the goal scoring record for most consecutive matches with a goal. I believe it was 11. Breaking Ruud van Nistelrooy's record, if I also remember correctly. Yep. So, looking at the 2015 calendar year, is that the greatest accomplishment this season for you? Where does it rank? Would you put some other things ahead? And I have an opinion on this one, but I'm going to go to you, Mike, since you cover the EPL for us. Where does this Jamie Vardy accomplishment land for you overall this year, in terms of accomplishments?
It's up there. I don't know if it's hard to rank them, but I would say that this accomplishment only ranks for this year because honestly, did any of us know whose record it was at the beginning of the year?
No.
I think I did a little.
No.
Okay, but I didn't and Joe didn't. So we'll go 2 out of 3. Dennis didn't know who it was at the beginning of the year. So while it's a great accomplishment, and you know what makes the accomplishment really good for me is just his story.
Yeah. That I agree with you on.
That's what makes it stand out as, it's a great feel-good story. So in that terms, it's right up there on the biggest accomplishments of the season.
I got to tell you, a lot of people with the form that Jamie Vardy's in are pushing for Jamie Vardy to be starting on the English national team ahead of Wayne Rooney right now. I got to listen to TalkSport a little bit this afternoon as I was driving around, and there were a lot of people that were like, this should be Vardy and not Rooney anymore. Rooney's done, according to what the folks in England were saying. So, Rob, your reaction, what do you think?
Yeah, it's a record that has been broken after 14 years, 13 years, something like that. But yeah, well accomplishment. As Mike mentioned, it's a feel-good story because of the roots he came from. He played non-league football a few years ago, then working his way up and becoming obviously Golden Boot so far in the Premier League and starting and possibly the next striker for the English national team. It's amazing.
Yeah.
When comparing it to other different accomplishments, I mean, it's not that what you mentioned that the Barcelona treble, the second ever treble in European history, has to be up there as well because you only have very little clubs who can accomplish 3 titles in a single season.
Yeah, no, I think those are all-time accomplishments that people remember. This isn't an all-time accomplishment that people are going to... Like I said, Rob says he thinks he knew, but most people didn't know that it was Ruud van Nistelrooy's record to begin with. Whereas people do know that Barcelona won a treble.
Yeah.
A lot of people do know that Lewandowski and Aguero the next week scored 5 goals in a game.
Yep.
And those probably aren't all-time accomplishments either, considering people have scored more goals in games than that.
Right, right.
Yep.
See, for me, I think this moves up the food chain in terms of accomplishment for the year, or I guess best moments of 2015. I think this moves up the food chain because of the storyline behind Jamie Vardy and where he's come from. I mean, what was it? It was like, I forget the teams, and I know I'm going to butcher it, but it was like somebody said like 700 days ago he scored a goal for Brentford in the 3rd division or something stupid like that.
Fleetwood Town was one of the towns.
Okay,
one of the teams. Fleetwood Town.
Fleetwood Town. Okay, so that's, you know what I mean? That he's down in the 3rd division, and just 2 years later, here he is setting, breaking Ruud van Nistelrooy's record in the EPL. So I think the storyline makes this more of an accomplishment than if it was just, let's say, Sergio Aguero, or Marwan Fellaini, Juan Mata, somebody like that, somebody that or Daniel Sturridge, keeping it English. Let's say Daniel Sturridge scored goals in 11 straight matches. Then people would probably be looking at that and going, yeah, it's a great accomplishment, fantastic, congratulations, but there wouldn't be this.
People would be going, Daniel Sturridge stayed healthy for 11 games.
I know that too. But
this is you could mention this as well. This is someone that a majority, I'd imagine you, I, and Mike had probably heard of Jamie Vardy until this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, he was. In fact, Mike, you were the one 2 or 3 weeks into the season. You were like, you guys got to get on this Jamie Vardy bandwagon because the kid's going to be great.
And look at him now.
And now everybody's talking about him. He's the guy. So
how long do you think he'll last? How many games do you think?
How many will he score consecutively?
Yep.
I would imagine. It's tough to say. Leicester's playing so well right now. I'm going to go 2 more games. He'll score goals in 2 more games, and then somebody will lock him up. And I'm not even looking ahead in the schedule or anything like that. Although
What do you mean lock him up?
I mean they'll shut him down so that he won't score a goal.
Okay. I thought you meant someone was
the
gonna
next
swoop
5
in
games.
for him.
The next 5 games are Swansea, Chelsea, Everton, Liverpool, and Manchester City.
Yeah, Chelsea will lock him up. Chelsea needs to lock him up, and that'll go down a whole other path. But so for me, the one thing I wanted to add about this, I had put a couple of things in the plan, like you guys saw. Rob, you had mentioned the Barcelona trouble. I wrote the U.S. Women's national team winning the World Cup. Aguero's 5 goals against Newcastle.
You actually wrote wind.
Yeah, I know. Hey, come on, when you're typing, whatever.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but the one that I was going to put ahead was the Lewandowski 5 goals that we talked about, and I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter. It came out just maybe about an hour and a half ago. Bayern Munich called a press conference for Robert Lewandowski.
Yep.
Because not only did he set the record for the 5 goals in the league and blah blah blah, he earned 4 Guinness World Records from that accomplishment. Okay, quickest hat trick, quickest 4-goal haul, quickest 5-goal haul, and most goals ever scored by a substitute in a soccer game. 5 goals.
And here I thought you were going to say his transfer to Blackburn finally came through.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, somebody there is still kicking themselves, but so it's a fantastic. Vardy is a great story, and certainly one of the top. Because I didn't really spend too much time thinking about it, top 10 accomplishments this season in all of world football. I think it's safe to put that in there. That this is one of the top 10 accomplishments this year that we'll talk about when we get to the end of the year. We'll look back, and this will be one of them.
Yes. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have a problem with that for sure.
No,
so,
no one would.
I mean, will it be top 2 or 3? I don't know. And
probably.
Yeah.
Who knows what can happen in the next 3 weeks?
That's true. Barca might score another 50 goals in a match or something like that. So.
And we also don't even know how many more he's going to go. That could contribute to how big a story this becomes.
He can go to like 16 at year's end.
Yeah, you never know. So.
Yeah.
So, all right, gentlemen, let's wrap up our opening thoughts, and let's do our league coverage quick, because I think what we're going to do tonight is we're going to do it a little backwards. We're going to rip through the league coverage in terms of our matches of the week, and then by then we should be ready for Ian Joy, and we'll get to ask him some great questions about anything and everything. Ian knows pretty much everything. So Rob, I'm going to throw it over to you in La Liga for our match of the week from last week, and give us the rundown.
Yep, that's right. Our match of the week last week in La Liga was Sevilla-Valencia. We predicted a 1-0 victory for Sevilla, and we got it right. 1-0 to Sevilla. Goals coming for a big win for Sevilla, actually. They needed this win, definitely, because of their, bad form at the start of the season. The goal came from Sergio Escudero in the 50th minute to give all 3 points to Sevilla. And shortly after the match, Nuno Santos, the manager of Valencia, announced his resignation. So as the league stands, Barcelona is still in first with 33 points. In second, Atletico Madrid with 29. Real Madrid in third with 27. In fourth, Celta with 24. In fifth, Deportivo La Coruña with 21. And sixth, Villarreal with 21, rounding off the bottom half of the table in the relegation zone. Las Palmas, Levante, and Malaga all on 10 points. And the top goal scorers are Neymar with 14, Luis Suarez with 12, Alderete with 10, Cristiano Ronaldo with 9, and Perez from Deportivo La Coruña.
All right.
And that is La Liga.
Match of the week will come up at the end of the show. In Liga 1, our match of the week was Marseille-Monaco. I predicted a 2-1 Monaco victory. Got this one wrong. It would finish as a 3-3 draw. We had goals from Marseille by Alessandrini, Batshuayi, and Nkoudou. Nkoudou was in the 82nd minute to draw level for Marseille. The Monaco goals were scored by a brace by Torre and Fabio Contrao in the 72nd minute, closing the scoring in that one. In Ligue 1, we're going to look at the tables real quick, although looking at the top of the table is really not worth it. We have Paris Saint-Germain completely running away. They are 13 points ahead of second place Caen. We're looking at 41 points. Caen in second on 28. Angers on 26. Lyon on 25, and Saint Etienne on 25, rounding out the European positions. Still amazing me, guys. 15 matches in, and Caen and Angers are still right there in those European positions. So it would be something to see either of them make it. I know we've had Jonathan Johnson on before, who said that he didn't think it was likely, but it'd still be something to see. We're looking at the bottom of the table, where we've got Troyes on 5 points, Toulouse on 12, Lille on 14, and Bastia just outside the relegation zone on 15. Our top goal scorers in the league currently: Mukanjo at Lorient with 11 goals, Batshuayi and Ibrahimovic on 10 each, Edison Cavani on 8 goals, and Hatem Ben Arfa on 7 goals, rounding out the top 5 of our goal scorers. That will wrap up our Ligue 1 report. And Mike, I'm going to send it over to you quickly for Match of the Week in England.
All right, and that was Leicester versus Manchester United.
And it was Leicester-Manchester United. Mike, I don't know if you're still there or not. Rob, do I have you?
Yes, you do.
All right, so something happened there with Mike real quick. Let me check our...
Hello?
Oh, there you are. Okay, let's try that again, Mike.
I was there. I don't know what happened. Okay, so our game of the week was Leicester versus Manchester United. We predicted 2-2. The final score was 1-1, so a correct result. James Vardy in the 24th minute, as we talked about earlier, and Bastian Schweinsteiger in extra time in the first half to tie it up 1-1. That's where it finished. A quick look at the tables then sees Manchester. That was an important game for this table, actually, with the two top teams playing and then drawing. So that moved Manchester City back to the top of the table on goal difference on 29 points. Leicester drops to second, 29 points, but behind a goal difference. In third, it's Manchester United on 28 points. Fourth, Arsenal on 27 points. And fifth, Tottenham on 25 points. The bottom three are in 20th still. Aston Villa on 5 points after 14 games. Newcastle and Bournemouth both on 10 points. Newcastle just behind on goal difference. And a quick look at the goal scorers sees Jamie Vardy, of course, on top, followed by Romelu Lukaku on 10. And Igalo and Kane both on 8. And then we have a couple at 5, and that's Oliver Giroud, Sergio Aguero, and Mahrez, and they're all on 7. Joe, that's the Premier League this week, although I think there was something else you want to talk about.
Well, we, it was basically about Bibgate, but let's leave that up a little later on if we've got a few minutes. We'll talk about Sergio Aguero. I'm sorry, not Sergio Aguero. Diego Costa and Jose Mourinho and the fallout between the two. We'll bring that up probably a little later on in the show. Rob, let's go over to the Bundesliga and let's see what's going on there.
That's right. In the Bundesliga, our predicted match was Bayer Leverkusen against Schalke. We predicted a 2-0 victory for Bayer Leverkusen. It ended in a 1-1 draw. Goals coming from Eric Maxen Choupo-Moting to give the lead for Schalke in the 50th minute, but an own goal for Sasha Reicher gave Leverkusen the 1-1 draw. And as the table stands at the moment, Bayern Munich still with a good form so far out of 6 games is in first place with 40 points. In second, Borussia Dortmund with 32. In third, Wolfsburg with 25. Borussia Mönchengladbach with 23. Hertha Berlin with 23 in fifth place. In sixth, Bayer Leverkusen with that draw are now in 21 points in sixth place. Running up the bottom half of the table in the relegation playoff, we have Augsburg with 10 points. Stuttgart with 10 points, and Hoffenheim with 9 points in the relegation zone. Top goal scorers at the moment is still Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang with 17 goals, Robert Lewandowski with 14, Thomas Müller with 13, Mali from Mainz with 8, and Bas Dost with 7 from Wolfsburg. And that is the Bundesliga.
All right, so let's take it over to the Serie A, where we had a matchup this week that finished actually just a little while ago, and I'm going to apologize to Luca for bringing it back up again now. But we had the Napoli-Inter matchup from earlier today. We had predicted a Napoli 3, Inter 2 victory. I had also predicted a Lorenzo Insigne goal in this one. I didn't get my Insigne goal, but I did get the result somewhat right. A Napoli 2-1 victory over 10-man Inter. Nagatomo picked up a yellow card accumulation in the 44th minute and was sent off. We had goals by Gonzalo Higuain in the 2nd and 62nd minute to earn the brace and the game winner. Adam Ljajic scored in the 67th minute for Inter to cut them to within 1. They also hit the post twice in the stoppage time. but it wasn't meant to be. So this is a huge result, Mike. Like you were saying with the Leicester result, this one had similar effect. As now at the top of the Serie A table, we have Napoli on 31 points, Inter right behind them on 30, Fiorentina on 29, Roma on 27, and lo and behold, Juventus 24 points, and they are creeping up. They've won 4 matches straight, currently technically on the best run of form in Italy. The bottom of the table looks like Verona on 6 points, Carpi on 9, Bologna on 13, and Frosinone just outside on 14 points. Top goal scorers currently in the league, we have Gonzalo Higuain adding 2 more goals to his tally today for a total of 12. Eder at Sampdoria with 10. Kalinic at Fiorentina on 9, who's actually been on a great run of form as well lately. Lorenzo Insigne on 7 goals, and there's a logjam for 5th place on 6 goals between Carlos Bacca, Paulo Dybala, Gervinho, and Miralem Pjanic at Roma as well. So, match of the week coming up a little later on. I'm going to...
Joe, let me interrupt you for a second. How do you want to talk to our guest? I think he's ready.
Whatever works best for him. Skype always works better for us, but if he wants to call in or if he wants us to call him, we can do whatever he pleases.
All right.
He's the man of the hour, so we can definitely we can do whatever he likes. So, looking forward to the Italian race moving forward, because we've got ourselves one heck of a logjam at the top. Five teams within 7 points. It's still rather early, but I think this is going to be the league to watch down to the last day of the season. So hopefully it's going to be certainly something exciting. While we have a minute, Mike, let's bring up Bibgate real quick. As we saw, Diego Costa this week was not in the lineup, in the starting lineup for Chelsea in their 0-0 draw. He was not played either, was not used, and many people are making this out to be Diego Costa's kind of done with Jose Mourinho, and for all intents and purposes wants out of Chelsea. I think there's certainly some truth to that, but this is certainly not the way to go about with that plan. I mean, Mike, you cover the EPL. What do you think of what happened this week? I don't know if you saw the incident or not.
I didn't see it, but I think it just, for me, it just sums up Costa's season. I believe he was throwing his bib at Mourinho, and he missed again.
Well, he kind of threw it over the shoulder. It was like the back toss over the shoulder. That was...
well, for me, like I said, it's the story of his season. He missed.
Yeah, yeah, right.
He's always been a controversial character.
Yeah, he has. But let me ask you, I'm going to put it out to you this way, because this is the first thing that came to my mind. Who lasts longer right now at Chelsea, Diego Costa or Jose Mourinho?
Well, if Mourinho...
It better be Jose Mourinho.
I mean, if Chelsea continued their bad form, it probably will be Mourinho.
I'd keep Mourinho before I'd keep Costa. I'll guarantee you that.
Yeah, but again, like Rob said, if Chelsea keeps on this bad run of form, they keep knocking on that relegation zone door. How do you not part with Jose Mourinho? I mean, at that point, you've got to think that he's lost the locker room. Okay, and
but I wasn't taking the question to mean it that way. Yeah. I was kind of taking it to mean, who do you think should be?
Yeah, and I don't think I'm not saying that.
Costa's terrible.
He's been terrible this year. But
he had a good year last year. He's terrible now.
Yeah,
it happens. Look at Torres.
Yeah, Fernando Torres.
It happens. Sure. They just can lose it.
Yeah, Radamel Falcao.
And now he's just a pain in the butt to top
it off. Falcao is different.
Yeah, Falcao's a little...
Yeah, no, he got injured. Yeah, no, that's different. But sometimes guys like Torres, and now maybe Costa, maybe not, they just lose it. And not only that, Costa's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Did they send him out in January?
No.
Doubt it.
I don't think too much happens this year.
Not in January?
No, I think unless Chelsea reels out 2 or 3 wins here in a row or 4 before the winter break, I think they're kind of writing this season off in terms of anything special.
But I think if they're going to write the season off, then I think you do unload Diego Costa right now and start over. Clean it up.
I guess, but you never get as much in January as you're going to get in the summer.
No, that's true. That's true. But you never know if you find a bargain here somewhere. Something. I mean, I think they could, not necessarily that they want to go find somebody, but if they're writing the season off, they probably want to bring somebody in that will just keep them afloat. Okay, keep them up in the Premier League. It's also going to depend on if he is or if Chelsea is.
Well, couldn't Remy do that?
Yeah, well, yeah. So then they wouldn't have to. They could focus on something else. They could focus on, replacing Ivanovic, which should happen. I mean,
We're putting some of these young guys in the lineup.
Or putting Ruben Loftus-Cheek, some of those guys.
Yeah, they got 100 players on loan. There must be a couple they could try out.
Right. So they should be able to bring somebody in. And again, Mike, I got your message, so I'm just keeping an eye on that right now. That would be the way to go. But I think at the same time, your future does not hold Diego Costa, so probably sell him while the selling's good. I don't think moving through the second half of the season and into the summer window is going to improve the value of Diego Costa.
But who wants him?
There's somebody.
No, that's what I mean. So how does that get you good value, though, either? Consider the form he's in. Wouldn't it be better if he got a little bit of form over the second half of the year and then you try and move him in the summer?
Well, let's see. The way I'm looking at it is what teams are advancing.
But you really don't think this is where Chelsea's finishing, do you?
I don't think they're getting into the European positions.
No, but I think they're going to be in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the top 10, it's like kissing your sister. I mean...
but I just mean in terms of that. I think Costa's probably going to improve a little bit in the second half. I don't think he's the player he was last year, but he can't. Maybe he can be, but I don't think he can be the player he is now.
Right, but
there's somewhere in between.
My point is there's no value to him. There's no value to him for Chelsea.
Okay. And I don't think there's a lot of value on the transfer market in January.
Well, that's why I was going to go look at the various groups in the Champions League and seeing if anybody's going to qualify, further out that will possibly, get there. Let's say, I know it sounds crazy, but I'm just looking Group C. Benfica's leading the way right now. They're gonna advance with Atletico Madrid. What about a Benfica team? They could,
but they can't use him in the Champions League.
No, you're right, because he's tied.
Yeah.
Never mind, I said that. That's right.
I guess if you were bringing him in for protection in, covering league play, and so that guy who plays in the Champions League's not playing twice a week, you could do that.
Could do that, yeah.
That's probably a pretty expensive fill-in, I think.
Would he be, Would he be Europa League tied?
I don't know how that works, Rob. I think you probably are.
I don't think so.
Especially
really, if you played in the Champions League, you're not cup tied in Europa.
No, because
what about a team that got in the Champions League and might have got put down?
Because Manchester United, I don't remember.
I'm not sure, but okay.
Because I'm thinking, Chelsea gets knocked down to the Europa League. Some Europa League.
Do you see him on there?
I do see him on there. I'm just
okay. He's ready.
Good. So let me get him in here. Because obviously very excited to have him back, but and I'm just waiting for him to connect here quickly. But it looks like and I'm just patiently waiting. But so I think they could possibly. Yeah, I see. I hear that. So I might have to reconnect the Skype, but we'll see if we can get this to clear out. Usually it does even itself out after a while.
There we go.
Yep. So, just waiting for Ian to connect here, and we'll get him going. So, but yeah, that's my thing is that if they could find a team that would see some value in him, then they might be inclined to bring Diego Costa in to help out for that long push. Even like you said, team gets 2 matches a week. They use Costa during midweek, and that'll help out. So joining us on Low Limit Football, returning to us on Low Limit Football, is the great Ian Joy. Ian, it's Joe Usello. How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm doing very well. Congratulations to you all. 100 episode is some great achievement, and congratulations for all the great stuff you're doing for our beautiful game.
I can't believe people have listened to us 100 times. but thank you very much, and congratulations to you for the move on to Fox. I know we haven't had you on since that, and I know we have some questions about that. I'm going to actually jump in with a Bundesliga question right away, Ian, if you don't mind. The Bundesliga's Twitter feed this week asked who is the most informed striker in the Bundesliga right now between Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, Chicharito, and Thomas Muller. I'd also want to add Lewandowski to that list, where I think he's fantastic. So in your opinion, who's the most informed striker right now in the Bundesliga?
The most informed striker in the Bundesliga right now is, without question, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Yeah. He is just on fire. He's scoring goals for fun. his performances, even when the team is not scoring goals or playing well, he's always the one who gets that one goal back. In particular against Hamburg, they lost 3-1. He got the goal. He just can't stop scoring goals, and it's incredible to me already to see this kid just rise to the next level. I think he's got 17 goals now already this season, and he's only 2 away from his personal best that he got at Saint-Etienne, and that was 3 years ago. So he's been in fine form. He's getting better and better. The biggest question now is, can Borussia Dortmund keep a hold of someone like him?
Yeah, and I was looking back at him a little bit as well. I think he's only been held goalless in 2 matches so far in the Bundesliga this year. So an amazing run of form, and he's a joy to watch. And that Bundesliga, that Borussia Dortmund team has really turned into that old Jurgen Klopp team from 2 years ago. Not last year's team that kind of went really down the tubes early, but the team from 2 years ago that was just on fire. This team reminds me of that team quite a bit.
Well, they managed to get players back healthy. They managed to keep them healthy. And obviously players are back in good form, which is so important. I think the change of coach really helped Borussia Dortmund under Jurgen Klopp. It's incredible to see that they had that poor season last year. But they've got incredible talent. And the talent that they've got is also very young as well. So this team's going to continue to get better. We were disappointed to see their defeat against Bayern Munich so heavily, but I think that's the level they're at right now. They're second in the Bundesliga, rightfully so. There's a big gap between them and Wolfsburg at the moment, points-wise. I still think that Borussia Dortmund will push on in the next year or two and become a really good competitive team for Bayern Munich, but they've still got a long way to go. They don't spend as heavily as those guys, and they can't keep a hold of their star players, but they will always be up there in the top 3 in the Bundesliga as long as they have this coach on the sideline and as long as they keep a hold of their young talent coming through.
Agreed. I'm going to send you over to Mike. I know Mike has a couple questions, so Mike, go ahead and take it away.
Good evening, Ian. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Good evening to you.
Good, thanks. Thanks so much for coming on such short notice. We really appreciate it. You've been a great friend to the show.
Yeah, no, it's my pleasure. It's always great to see people who have such a love for the game as much as I do, and whatever we can do to help the game improve and create awareness in the North American region and get it bigger and better, we will do it.
I just wanted to ask you a couple of quick MLS questions. It's amazing to think that just 2 months ago, Portland was in a spot that they could have missed the playoffs entirely, and now they are in the MLS final. What has changed over these 8 or 9 weeks, and how much of this success do you attribute to Caleb Porter?
I have to admit, I think the coach is the most important part in that jigsaw at Portland. The fans are there. The stadium's pretty fantastic. Even though they play on turf, it is fantastic. The background people inside the club, Gavin Wilkinson's been there for many years as a player and also as a general manager. Excuse me. And then obviously Merritt Paulson, who's trying to build something very special. But they finally found that final piece of the jigsaw that they were looking for, which was Caleb Porter behind the scenes. Young, looking to really impress in the United States and become that next big thing. He's certainly done that. He's created a good buzz. He's got a great attitude. He's got this no-nonsense arrogance about him, which is, in my opinion, is very important if you want to be very successful in the league, especially in Major League Soccer. And it's lacking in Major League Soccer. There's not enough people who really think that they're the best in this league. A lot of people just go there because it's a job or it's because an opportunity's come their way. They're going to accept it. This guy's here to do the business, and you can clearly see he's got incredible talent for the coaching game. But they've made some incredible signings, Portland. Bringing in Nart Borchers, who's a big friend of mine from Real Salt Lake, was an unbelievable signing. I couldn't believe they got their hands on him. He brings experience to the team. Ridgewell, no question, brings experience to the team and still got many years ahead of him. They've got young, exciting players with Nagbe. Obviously, we know how quality he is. Diego Valeri's an experienced player who's shown so much talent and reminds me of Javier Morales from Real Salt Lake days, is the talent that he's got. He's got an incredible eye for passing and creativity. Chara's been a great engine. Will Johnson, even though he's out of favour at the moment in time after recovering from his injury that you guys all know about up in Toronto, he's a terrific player to have around the dressing room and improves that place. But you've got a goal scorer as well. And when you've got someone like Fernando Adi, he's just scoring the goals, gives you the best opportunity to go on and be successful. So many pieces of the jigsaw have finally come together up in Portland. And I really believe that this team will go on and win it next week.
Can you grow a beard like that?
It'd probably take me about 3 years to get anywhere close. to having a stubble like Nat Borchers, but he was my roommate at Real Salt Lake, and I can guarantee you that if I was still with him in his room on away games, he'd never have that beard any longer. That's for sure. But he looks fantastic, and it's perfect for Portland.
Yeah, he does suit it. I just wanted to ask you one more question before I give you to Rob. Portland seems to be a team that's devoid of weakness in their current form. Is there any weakness for you that Columbus could look to exploit at the weekend?
I think the possibility that I would say would be a weakness would be the fullback position, because they play such an attacking game, Portland. They try to score goals, they try to create. The fullbacks certainly play a big role in that. But when you look at Columbus's side, they have incredible talent and incredible pace on the wings. Ethan Finlay, we all know about his pace and getting in behind, his creativity. I mean, that guy is a player who can cause problems to any fullback in Major League Soccer, and I think he has the potential to go on and be a successful player himself. And then they also have a big goal scorer. Defensively, Borchers and Ridgewell are solid right now. But are you good enough to be able to stop Kai Kamara scoring goals? That's the question. I think they are. I think that experience will come through and they will try to bully Kai Kamara. But the positivity that Columbus have is that they're playing at home. It'll be a packed stadium. They've got great supporters as well, Columbus. Portland will send thousands there as well. This is going to be a great opportunity for all of us to watch Major League Soccer without having millions and millions and millions of dollars of DPs on the field. This is talented players who have worked so hard to get a good paycheck, reaching the pinnacle of the game. It's going to be fantastic to watch, and it's going to be cutthroat action.
Yeah, I'm really going to enjoy the game too. Can I get your prediction?
I mean, you're speaking to a former Portland Timbers captain, so it's very difficult for me to pick anything other than Portland Timbers winning this game. But I think we get a high-scoring match because they both play offensive football. Greg Berhalter's done a great job at Columbus, so I expect him to go for it at home in particular. I think we get a 3-2 win in favour of Portland.
Okay, fair enough. I'm going to hand you over to Rob, and thanks a lot again, Ian.
You got it.
Hi, Ian. It's nice to have you back on the show.
Thank you. Good talking to you.
Thank you. Moving forward, you have your new job currently at Fox Sports now and living in Los Angeles. I just want to know the differences of living in LA and basically what you miss about the city of New York when you worked for Yes Network and Miami for BeIN Sports.
Well, I spent 3 years in Miami working for BeIN Sports, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity that BeIN Sports gave me. Obviously, it's a new network, and I was there from the very beginning. As you guys know, up north, it's such a terrific network for the Italian game, for the Spanish game, and obviously for me, it was so important that we got a step in the direction that I wanted to go in my career, and that was into media and into television. And it happened so quickly for me to get all of the reps that I did, commentating on games, working on the shows, hosting, getting a chance to meet incredible superstars of our game, and I'll always be grateful for that. But I don't think that BeIN Sports could give me what I wanted next. I was there for 3 years, and I commentated on so many games, and I worked on shows. But the next step in my career was that I had a passion for hosting a show. I wanted to be in entertainment. I wanted to host. I wanted to be the ringleader in a broadcast for soccer, and I wanted to also showcase my talent as a host in particular, because it's something that you can learn and improve on, but it's very difficult, and only few people have the talent to really go for it in this game, in this country. So for me, being a former professional soccer player who's hosting a show, and in particular the Bundesliga was a big draw for me, having played in Germany, it's great because we have an unbelievable broadcast team. We have players who have played in the Bundesliga at Fox. We have players who have obviously been in Germany. We have talent coming in and out. But to have the host also having played in Germany is something that's never seen before in this country. And it's great to finally have the opportunity to do that at such a wonderful network. I do miss traveling to New York. I didn't stay there for long. I was only traveling in and out for the Major League Soccer games. The Yes Network was just fantastic towards me. It's a terrific organization. The people behind the scenes, Woody Fryman and John Filippelli, who basically run that whole organization, are just outstanding people, and they gave me a great opportunity to continue my passion in New York City, where I wanted to be, and I loved it. The league was frustrating, obviously, with the team that we had in New York. But the talent that came in through the summer was great to watch them close up, and I will continue to try do that going forward. But my dedication right now is to helping Fox Sports really become a force to be reckoned with in the United States and North America in particular for Bundesliga, which is my main focus right now, rebuilding this league in this country, which is going to take many, many years. And also getting the opportunity in Europa League to do that, and national team games, World Cups coming up. Fox has just become the big player in soccer in North America, and I'm so proud to be a part of it.
Definitely, and it's a privilege to have watched you on those 3 networks, living in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and having access to all 3 channels. So it's been one of a kind, that's for sure. And just my last quick question. You mentioned NYCFC. Mm-hmm. They finished, I believe, 8th place with 37 points and 12 points from the last spot in the Eastern Conference that Toronto FC occupied. What do you think could have been done to improve this side moving forward? And moving forward, what do you think they have to do to get to that level and achieve the playoffs?
Well, New York City is really a club that has a lot of principles in place for such a young franchise. They really expected to make the playoffs, which to me was crazy because it's so difficult in Major League Soccer, as all you guys know, to make the playoffs in your first year as a franchise. I honestly believe that if the club wasn't disrupted by Frank Lampard's situation in the summer and what happened previous to the season even beginning, and also, as crazy as it sounds, bringing Andrea Pirlo to the club in the summer, I think the team might have just scraped into the playoffs because they were on a winning run. They had a really good thing going after going a terrible 11 games without picking up a win. They started to get things going. And then all of a sudden, Pirlo came into town and he'd just been on vacation, clearly was not match fit when he started. And it wasn't the Andrea Pirlo we all know and love. He needed time to be able to get his fitness back again, which he got just at the end of the season and was exceptional. But it was too little, too late. Frank Lampard picked up injuries. David Villa was the only one that was in 100% top form. I think that going forward, it's incredible to see that they've made a change of coach already. That tells me that something was not right behind the scenes. Now, I know Jason Kreis personally, and he's a good friend of mine, and he's a terrific coach as well. And I'm not sure that things were working in his favour with the big names that came through the door and the unity within the squad. So it tells me that there was something wrong there. But it certainly tells me also now with Patrick Vieira coming through the door that he's not going to mess around. This guy's a big figure. He commands respect from the players, from the dressing room. Whether or not he can get Major League Soccer in his first season is yet to be found out. He needs to have a good support cast of coaches with him who know the league, because you cannot come into Major League Soccer as a big name and think that because you are a wonderful player, you know how this league runs and you know how to get this team into the playoffs. It doesn't work like that. You've got to be successful, you've got to be consistent, and if they can find consistency with the players, I think that New York City can get into the playoffs next season. Can they win it? It's anyone's guess. Anyone can win the playoffs, and anyone can make it to MLS Cup final once they get there.
Absolutely. No one had predicted Portland and Columbus in the final, so who knows what Patrick Vieira could do at NYCFC. Thank you, Ian, so much for taking your time to come on the show, and I'm going to pass it over to Mike.
Yep.
Ian, I forgot to ask you. I just wanted to ask you, when am I going to be able to see you legally in Canada?
To see me legally in Canada. I mean, it's difficult to say, obviously, with Fox being just based in the USA. I don't know what's going to happen with us Fox in Canada. We know the Bundesliga rights. It's difficult up there. I think they've sent them out to Rogers or Sportsnet, one of the two doing it up there. I would love to have still been available to the Canadian viewers, because I have incredible followers from my BeIN Sports days, you know, and all you guys as well. The connection that we've made with some incredibly passionate supporters of soccer up in Canada. I miss it. I miss that communication. I still get it now and again, talking the Italian football on social media. And there's a lot of Canadians up there who love the Italian game and Major League Soccer in particular. So I certainly miss it. I hope that at some point in my career I can still continue to be available up there. It's certainly a place where I feel like my passion for the game needs to be as well. So hopefully soon we can figure something out that I'm still available up there.
All right, thanks, Ian, and back to Joe.
Yep.
Got it.
Thanks, Mike. Ian, I'm just gonna before we let you go, I do want to ask what match do we have this week as the Bundesliga match of the week on Fox?
Well, Bundesliga, as you know, on Fox, we have incredible matches that just never stop coming. I mean, the Bundesliga, if you guys watch the Bundesliga, you'll know that the goals just continue to bang in left, right and centre. This weekend we started off with a 0-0 on the Friday and we ended with a 0-0. But the games in between us, in particular on Saturday, were just absolutely mind-blowing. Next weekend, we actually have a show on the Friday and the Saturday. The show on the Friday will be Schalke versus Hanover, which is a match where Schalke need to win. Hanover are a team at the bottom of the table, really fighting hard. But the match of the weekend is going to be on Saturday morning. Borussia Mönchengladbach against Bayern Munich. Borussia Mönchengladbach are at home, and they're on an incredible run. They're unbeaten in the Bundesliga under their new coach, Andre Schubert. And somehow they've managed to get from the bottom three to fourth in the table by consecutively winning matches. So they go up against the champions next weekend on Saturday, which is a match that, trust me, will have fireworks in it. Borussia Mönchengladbach have proven in the Champions League that they are difficult to beat. And in the last game, they had a fantastic performance, winning as well. So they're a force to be reckoned with now. Can they be the team that slows down Bayern Munich? It's a very, very difficult ask. But I think that if anyone can, in the form that they're in, we might just see Bayern Munich get upset next weekend.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give all the credit for Mönchengladbach to Fabian Johnson.
Yes, I think you're not the only one. He's been unbelievable. The form he's been in, scoring goals, creating. This is not the Fabian Johnson that I'm used to seeing play for the US national team. This is a Fabian Johnson that can really go on and be a massive name in the European game if he continues to play like this. I'm pretty sure it's going to be difficult for Gladbach to hold on to him. He's been excellent. And they've also got a string of talented players around him who are scoring goals and creating opportunities. And players who have not scored goals recently are finding their form again. So Gladbach could finish in the top three.
Yep, and I think with their run of form, even though they did draw the group of death in the Champions League, they'll probably sneak into the Europa League over Sevilla, and you've got to look out for them. I think if that happens, we will see a German winner for the Europa League. I think it's either going to be Dortmund or Mönchengladbach. It's just amazing, both those teams and the run of form that they're on. So, Ian, thank you again for joining us and giving us some time tonight. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the new position at Fox, and we'll have you back again soon.
Thank you, guys. Congratulations to all of you on episode 100. I look forward to coming back on episode 200. See you then.
Fantastic.
All the best, Ian.
Take care, guys. Ian. All the best. Bye-bye.
And that was Ian Joy. Fantastic. Always love talking to him. He's such a class act on top of it all. And I knew he was going to tell you, Mike, that it was going to be Portland.
I knew that too. He kind of, even if he didn't think it was going to be, kind of has to, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. If you didn't ask it, it was coming back to me, and I was going to ask him myself. So
he wouldn't be allowed to get back into Portland probably if he didn't choose him. Wasn't he the captain?
Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
he was. So, while we're here, Rob, I'm going to get your reaction. As you're doing that, I'm going to message our next guest. So
fantastic individual. We've always spoken to various people on BeIN Sports, such as him, or before previously when he worked at BeIN Sport and now working at Fox. He's a wonderful talent that they have, as well as with Eric Ronaldo.
Yeah, and confessions of a podcast host. I find myself on Saturday mornings, starting out watching the Premier League, but very quickly switching over to Fox in the Bundesliga because I find the style of play actually a little more exciting than what we've been seeing lately. So I just, for me, it's been fantastic, a fantastic thing to watch. So, but joining us
kind of someone for you to emulate yourself, Rob.
Yeah,
considering the career you're taking.
I'm going to cut you guys off because joining us now on The Limit Football from BeIN Sports is David Cartlidge. David, welcome back. How are you tonight?
Hey, it's nice to be on board again, and happy 100, everybody.
Thank you. I want to start out with a quick question on the Coach of the Year. We had the awards announced today for both Coach of the Year and the Ballon d'Or. The Ballon d'Or, for all intents and purposes, has always been the Messi, Ronaldo, and Player X show for the past few years. So we kind of didn't want to get into that, although I will ask you very, very quickly. Is it Messi's and the other two shouldn't fly in for the award, or do you think Cristiano Ronaldo and Neymar have a chance?
I think as long as Messi is around, it's going to be his. So I think he'll have it this year. He'll have it next year. He'll have it the year after. Yeah, so I think that's how it's going to go.
I'm kind of with you on that as well. I do want to ask you quickly, though, about the Coach of the Year, because I think this is a much more interesting topic. We had three finalists announced for the Coach of the Year award: Jorge Sampaoli in Chile, Pep Guardiola over at Bayern Munich, and Luis Enrique at Barcelona. I think many would point the finger to Luis Enrique as the favorite to win this award just because of Barca winning the second treble this past year. So kind of the same question, but just different Barcelona person. Do you feel it's Enrique's award to win, and do you think the others have a chance of actually unseating him in this one?
Yeah. I think that's Luis Enrique's. I think the treble at the highest level, in one of Europe's top leagues, and then of course the Champions League as well. I think it's pretty much nailed on. I think for Luis Enrique to get it, but I should say I think it's disappointing that Max Allegri didn't make the list actually.
Yeah. Obviously the Italian team pulling off the double this year, and just fell short of actually pulling off their own trouble, losing to Barca in the Champions League final. Yeah. And the job that Allegri did replacing Conte, who had won, I believe, 3 Scudetti moving in. So yeah, I would agree that Allegri is probably a big miss, but I think if I had to put Allegri on the list, I would probably put him in place of Pep Guardiola, because I think what Jorge Sampaoli did with the Copa America over the summer is nothing short of fantastic. For me, he's second place in this award.
Yeah, I completely agree with that actually.
Yeah, so let's keep it though Barcelona focused here now. Barca status post the Clásico from a couple weeks ago are really on an absolutely amazing tear. They beat Real Madrid 4-0, which was a shocker to most. I don't think anyone expected a blowout of that magnitude, especially at the Bernabeu. But then they follow that match up with a 6-1 drubbing of Roma in the Champions League, and then a 4-0 victory over Sociedad. Obviously, getting Messi back is always a nice thing. But are we finding that they're hitting all their cylinders again now on their way to repeating as La Liga and possibly Champions League champions again?
Yeah, I believe so. This is traditionally when the Luis Enrique team should kick in. He's big on his physical preparation for his teams. So come December, you see his teams really kicking in. And it happened with Celta Vigo in a big way. And it's happening again with Barcelona now. And I think when you're going to see them down the stretch, you'll see Barcelona get even stronger, hit higher levels of fitness, other players come into form as well.
Yeah, they're also going to get Arda Turan and one other person that I'm missing right now off the top of my head.
Alex Vidal.
Thank you, Alex Vidal, who they picked up. I think it was Villarreal where they picked him up from last year.
Sevilla.
Sevilla, okay. But yeah, 2 huge additions who have actually not even seen the pitch for Barcelona yet. Talk about, 1, getting healthy, but then 2, adding some extremely good quality players without having to make a transfer. I agree with you that they're certainly on their way to repeating as champions.
Yeah, I think that they're in an excellent position. They've got 2 players who's going to come in who have both hit the highest levels. Alex Vidal was excellent for Sevilla last season, and he was superb as well in their Europa League run. And then obviously Arda Turan, everybody knows what he's done at Atletico Madrid. He was like the lieutenant to Simeone. He was Simeone's soldier out on the field there. So it's 2 good players to go in. And then you're probably looking at maybe, I think they really want to strike at Barcelona as well, and another striker to bring in. So you could see them, they're going to raise it up a level.
Right. I'm going to send you over to Rob now. I know Rob has some questions for you as well. So, Rob, go ahead and take it away.
Yes, hi, Dave. It's nice to have you back on the show.
Hey, man.
I'm just wondering about, speaking again to the Ballon d'Or, do you think that this is the final time that we're going to see maybe Messi and Ronaldo battle it for the top 3, and you think that Neymar is the perfect successor as the next best player in the world, given his run of form?
I think potentially Cristiano will be looking at this as maybe his last attempt. I think we're going to see a big physical decline from him, and obviously the player that he is, he's built so much around his physical prowess. Whereas Messi, I think, will mould, and he will change his role. He will drop back. He'll become a creator. He doesn't necessarily need to be at an unbelievable physical peak, I don't think, to perform. But yes, I think you will see over the next years. I think Neymar and James Rodriguez, I think, will be the 2, and it'll be fascinating to see as well other names battling out for it.
Definitely. Do you think that this would have changed in the top 3? Do you think the perspective of how fans are reacting to this would have changed if Suarez was in Neymar's place in the top 3?
I think there's been a lot of calls for Neymar to be there for quite a bit of time, and I think the thing that Luis Suarez maybe hasn't got that spectacular, eye-catching game. You know, he's a hard worker in a game. You know, he does a lot of work for Neymar and Lionel Messi as well. I'm not saying the other two are lazy or anything like that. I just think Luis Suarez does he has a lot of work over 90 minutes, and his game's maybe not as eye-catching, not as glittering, not as glamorous as the other two potentially. Not to take away from anything from him, by the way.
No, absolutely. He's a fantastic player that we've seen, and he was really instrumental of what Barcelona were able to achieve last season, despite starting in October. That's for sure. Speaking into Valencia, they obviously lost to Sevilla 1-0 yesterday, and they sacked the coach Nuno. Keep forgetting his name. Nuno
Santos.
Yep, Santos, and replacing him with Phil Neville. How much time do you think Neville has as a Inter manager, and what do you think Valencia have to do with the new manager that could potentially come in heading into their Champions League group and the return of their La Liga season?
Yeah, I think Phil Neville is going to be in it as long as Valencia sort themselves out behind the scenes, because there's going to be disagreements over whether Jorge Mendes, who is extremely influential at Valencia, whether he brings in one of his men, or whether what's being spoke of right now is that it's not going to be a Mendes client. So that's going to have to get ironed out first. So there's big decisions that need to be made behind the scenes there at Valencia. So Phil Neville's got that to deal with, and he's by his side he's got Voro, who's been interim manager of Valencia before as well. So he knows the club. He's a good figure there. He's a legendary figure there. So that'll be a big help, I think, for Phil Neville. But I think Valencia's got a lot of internal problems. I think on the field they've been extremely poor, but behind the scenes there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite a disaster for the side so far. Moving now to Eibar, and Eibar, a team that basically had no one was hoping that they would be in this position currently, 7th place in La Liga with 1 point off the European spot. Do you think they still have what it takes to get one of those European spots at year's end?
I think they're going to eventually tire out. I think we're going to see potentially around end of February, March. They will just kind of peter out. I think they had the same situation last season as well. They started so strongly, and I hope they do continue, because they're a fabulous team and there's a lot of players there I think people should be watching as well. But yeah, I think they're just going to fade out. It's such a small squad. There's not a great deal of rotation there, and I think they will fade out. But I think they should get a respectable mid-table finish, because they're a lot better than many teams who are down there fighting for their lives.
Definitely. You've mentioned that you are a sympathizer of Sporting Gijón. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, big Sporting fan.
I've been watching Gijón a lot this season, and the one player that I've been impressed so far, who came in from AS Roma, was Antonio Sanabria. And I was wondering what you think of him as a player.
Yeah, he's good. He's really bought into the philosophy at Sporting very quickly. That it's not about the individual. It's not about trying to carve something out for yourself. It's about the team. It's about unity. It's about fighting for each other. And he's a young player, and he fits into a group. It's the youngest squad in the Liga. So he fits in that superbly, and he's worked extremely hard. And like Alen Halilovic, who's coming from Barcelona as well, who's been fantastic. They've both bought into this philosophy, and they've worked extremely hard. There's been no prima donna attitude, despite them coming with a reputation as talented young players. They've been fantastic in attitude on and off the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week, after the rout of Barcelona to Real Madrid 4-0 at the Bernabeu, Florentino Perez openly came up and said that him and the board have support with Rafael Benitez. Just leaning into the future, say Real Madrid's run of form continues to be bad and they don't achieve any silverware at the end of season's end. Do we see Rafa Benitez going? And if so, who do you think would replace him?
I'm certain. I think the bed has already been made. I think Rafa's already gone pretty much, regardless of what happens. I think there's already been a decision made there that he's probably going to be moving on. It just hasn't worked out. That he isn't a player's man like Ancelotti was. So I think the decision's probably only been made by many people, many important people. I think Florentino Perez has already acknowledged it was his personal choice to bring in Rafa Benitez, and he's already acknowledged it's been a bit of a mess. And despite him publicly backing him and saying he needs time, I think there's already been decisions made there. So they're going to have to go for a bigger name come the summer. Yeah, they're definitely going to be back in the market for another manager. Who that manager may be, I'm really not too sure. I mean, Jurgen Klopp was perfect for them, I thought. I really was, and I think they've missed a big trick with not getting him in.
Do you think we see someone like a name who was the manager of the Castilla team like Zidane?
Zidane is a name mentioned, I think, quite a lot. But with Real Madrid, it's interesting. These names like Zidane comes up, Michel as well. And the thing is, there's an obsession to bring in a Real Madrid old boy, somebody who's played at the club, and that doesn't necessarily work. So I think they're wrong going down that avenue with Zidane. I don't think he's ready either, and I don't think he's shown enough to be a good enough manager yet.
Definitely, and I think as long as Florentino Perez is continue to be the president of Real Madrid, if we see a very bad form Real Madrid with a manager that hasn't been able to do the job correctly, he'll be probably out the door at the end of the season.
Absolutely.
Definitely. David, I really want to thank you for coming on the show, and I'm going to pass over to Joe.
Thanks a lot, man.
Thanks, Rob. Just to follow up on the Zinedine Zidane thought as head coach of Real Madrid, that almost reminds me of what Roma did AC Milan did last year with Pippo Inzaghi. Bringing on the former hero in really what would be his first coaching gig, and having it just fail miserably.
Yeah, it's a beautiful romantic idea. Okay, and no matter which club we support, we like the idea of a legend coming back. But I think it has to be in the right circumstances. You can't just pull people back. Valencia tried to do it with as well. We were just talking about Valencia, and they've tried to bring old favourites back, Djukic, Pellegrino. They tried to bring them back, and neither worked. And there's other cases before with other teams as well.
Yeah, going back to the Florentino Perez talk, I've got to think that the board has got to be pretty upset with him. By all accounts, from what it looked like, it almost looked like Rafa Benitez put that Florentino Perez team out there for El Clasico. And when the white hankies were waving, I know that Ray Hudson and Phil Shane were talking about those hankies waving towards Rafa Benitez, but it later on came out, and we talked about this last week, that those hankies were almost waved more at Florentino Perez than they were at Rafa Benitez.
Oh, absolutely. When he moved on Carlo Ancelotti and the circumstances, how that came about, and how he targeted a figure. I mean, I don't think it can be underestimated how popular Carlo Ancelotti was at Real Madrid with the fans and with the players. He created a unity there that had never been seen there before. There was unity there with Mourinho, absolutely, but at times there was a bit of infestation almost. I think with Mourinho, it was an us and them. Whereas with Ancelotti, there was a healthy environment, a healthy dressing room, and a healthy attitude with the press, and he's a very, very well-liked man. And for Florentino Perez to ditch him like he did, and after what he achieved, I think that really changed the view of Florentino Perez in Madrid in a big way, and I don't think he can recover from it, quite frankly.
I agree, and going back just to the coaching idea as to who you would bring in post Rafa Benitez, I don't think there's anybody but Ancelotti. All the other big names that come to mind for me, like Mourinho, Mourinho's a little more soured going back to Real Madrid. Guys would be huge names. They certainly missed a huge boat on Jurgen Klopp, I think, just like you had said. Guys like Pep Guardiola are not an option. So who do you bring in? I mean, you've got Ancelotti. I mean, do you bring in Antonio Conte? Do you try to get him out of the Italian national team and pull him in there? Do you bring in somebody like that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a suggestion. What about someone like Jorge Sampaoli?
I was just going to say,
who is under pressure as well, considering the news in Chile.
Yeah, it would be really interesting. I think Sampaoli would be the most fascinating appointment. Somebody like him or Bielsa, who are very archaic, very set in their ways, would be absolutely fascinating, I think.
I think El Loco would really be more entertaining off the pitch. Sampaoli would probably be more entertaining on the pitch, don't you think?
Yeah.
that's for sure. So, David, I want to thank you for giving us a few minutes tonight of your time. We really, really appreciate everything you do, and love to have you back again very, very soon.
Oh, absolutely, count it. I love joining you guys, and you guys do a great show. So here's many more shows.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, David.
No problem.
And that was David Cartlidge from BeIN Sport and 442. And again, fantastic La Liga. And I know we kind of rehashed El Clasico or the fallout from El Clasico a little bit, but it's always great to kind of talk about that with a different perspective, like David brings to us, especially being over there in Spain. I think is fantastic. So, Rob, your thoughts on anything David had to say?
Yeah, he was spot on about everything he had to say about what's happening in La Liga.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, he's great. Let's move on quickly. Let's talk about the MLS Cup, guys, coming up this weekend. Obviously, we had our two matches. Mike, I'm gonna lean on you a little bit for this. We had the I don't know if you're ready to give us any recaps of the two matches or not. Do you have your information up?
Well, just give the scores. We kind of went over at least the Dallas-Portland game a bit with Ian. It was 2-2 the final, 5-3 on aggregate in favor of Portland, so they were the first team to clinch a position in the MLS final. Adi opened the scoring in the 54th minute. Dallas looked to come back a little bit with goals from Hollingshead and then Blas Perez in the 73rd minute, which put them ahead. But Lucas Milano in injury time was able to tie it back up, and not that really mattered at that point. So the final score was 2-2, and Portland is the team through there. The late game was yours and Rob's New York Red Bulls taking on the Columbus Crew. That finished 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls, but they lost the two legs 2-1 on aggregate, so Columbus became the other team in the final. So Portland versus Columbus, or actually Columbus versus Portland is the final. They both finished tied on points on the season, but Columbus won the tiebreaker on goal difference. And the goal for New York in that one was a bang in the 90th minute.
90
it was a pretty rough game, that one, for sure.
Yeah. I want to go rewind back to the Dallas-Portland match. For me, the one thing that they had talked about, Taylor Twellman brought it up quite a bit, was Blas Perez. And I think we might be seeing the end of Blas Perez, professionally. He's kind of on the backside of his career. But there's somebody that Taylor Twellman, was talking about, how he's kind of a pest. He kind of agitates. He gets in there. And he reminded me of another North/Central American striker who probably about 10 years ago did that to the same tune in MLS. And I wanted your thoughts on this, Mike. Cuauhtemoc Blanco. For some reason, just when Taylor Twellman was talking about the way Perez plays, for some reason, the description that he was giving and then watching Blas Perez play, all I could think of was Blanco. And it was like, I can't believe we've had the second coming of Cuauhtemoc Blanco. What do you think of Blas Perez overall? I mean, and does the description fit?
I don't know enough about Blanco to say that, but okay. I'm sure Rob does. But Blas Perez, I think actually Dallas could be in trouble as a team, not just by losing him. I think there's a good chance they're going to lose Fabian Castillo to Liga MX or somewhere in Europe. I've heard there's a lot of interest in Europe in him, and possibly they're also going to lose Mauro Diaz.
Mauro Diaz, that's another one I heard as well. So, yeah, the key is going to be if Oscar Pereira can hold on to his talent there, because they are young. They're very young talent, but they're certainly quality. If he can hold on to that core, you've got to think Dallas has got to be one of the favorites to win this thing next year.
Yeah, and they do have a great homegrown system. I think they have the most homegrown players actually that play in the MLS. But you can't replace those two guys with homegrown players in the first season. That's for sure.
No, and the other gem that they found this year was Jesse Gonzalez in goal for them.
Yeah, he was a little bit shaky though in these two games, don't you think?
Yeah, a little bit, but he was also 21, 22?
Yeah, no, that's I'm just we gotta have to see a full year out of him for sure. Mm-hmm. Has he played for Mexico?
I don't think he has. Rob, do you? I mean, I don't know if you can.
I'm sorry, who was it?
Jesse Gonzalez, the goalie for FC Dallas.
Check it right now.
Yeah, so
he's only 20, so I'm going to say
he doesn't play. He doesn't play. He hasn't played for the Mexican national team.
He's on the under 20. Yeah, he's on the under 20s. Yeah.
So technically, he still is. Technically, he could be eligible for the Americans. Technically.
Oh, I mean, there's so many good goalies.
Why? What's the American connection?
Well, I mean, if you stay a couple, wouldn't it be the living in? Because he was born in the United States.
Was he?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's what there's the American connection right there. I didn't know that.
Born in the United States, and he's played all his life there.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm searching that up right now. He was born in Edenton, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh, fair enough then.
Yep. He played at a local team.
I don't even think, for me, he shouldn't be allowed to play for Mexico.
Exactly.
I think that's because of his family.
I know, but just for me, you know how I am.
Yeah, no, I know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Of course.
Given this, I'm backwards. I thought he should only be able to play for Mexico, but now I'm the other way.
So, Rob, have you ever seen Cuauhtemoc Blanco?
I've seen, of course,
Yeah,
definitely.
Okay.
And I've seen him, Joe. I just
Seen
don't
him
know
play.
enough about him. That's all.
So your thoughts about the comparing him to Blas Perez, or comparing Blas Perez to him?
Well, I mean, they're both two terrific players. I mean, Cuauhtemoc Blanco was a fantastic player on his own, as well as Blas Perez, so you can't really make any more comparisons about that. I think the way that he's been performing in MLS has been spectacular. But there are comparisons.
But did Blas Perez have anywhere near the international career of Blanco?
Well, he never played a World Cup, so no, I don't think so.
And that's obviously that's not so.
Because he's from Panama, so
right, exactly.
No, I'm just
He missed the boat.
Blanco was a big-time Mexico international, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think he's the top goal scorer, if I'm not mistaken.
Like a cult hero, too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But, I don't know what the people in Panama think of Blas Perez. I've got to think that they hold him pretty highly.
He has to be one of the best of all time.
No doubt. And certainly part of their surgence into, something of, they basically have to pay attention to him. You have to pay attention to Panama.
And a good thing to ask our guest next week.
I was just going to suggest that is that right now the effort is and those guys, their show is coming up in about 3 hours, but Riso Vasquez from Mexican Football Show is possibly going to be on our show next week. So I certainly am going to save this question for him for next week. And see what he thinks, but I haven't heard back from him.
I love him; he's great.
Yep. So I'll be in their chat room tonight. I'm gonna try and stay up for a few minutes and give them a listen. I always try to give Stereo Serie A listen right after this show. Those guys are fantastic, and obviously if you're interested in the Serie A, that's going to be one of the places to go after this show. And then after that, I usually head over to the Mexican show because I just honestly I should pay more attention to the Mexican League, and I told you guys that if Riso comes on the show, we've really got to brush up on our La Liga. I mean, our Liga MX stuff. So
really, as North Americans, that should be our second league.
Yeah. So, but we can also talk to him about CONCACAF Champions League as well. So, and with that segue, let's talk about the Champions League. What do you guys think?
Yep.
UEFA Champions League?
Yeah, I'm going to we'll cover it quickly. We did have a match of the week in the Champions League from this past week. It was Bayern Munich Olympiacos. We all took big wins for Bayern Munich in this one, and I just need to go and research the score, but I believe it was 4-0 in this particular match. I'm just kind of looking for the score quickly as we talk about it, but we are 5 matches in to the 6-match qualifying in the group stages. And, boy, I can't seem to find Bayern Munich here anyway, but I'll let you guys research that real quick for me. And with that said, with one match to go in all of these groups, we have group winners.
Bayern Munich 4-0, yeah.
4-0. So so just to give credit where credit is due, Rob, you had predicted 4-0. Mike, you and I predicted 3-0. So we all got it.
And that was Thomas Müller, Lewandowski, Douglas Costa, and Kingsley Coman.
There you go. Juventus Kingsley Coman because he's there on loan. But anyway, so we have group winners. Group A.
Now then,
Group A is won by Real Madrid. Group E is won by Barcelona. Group F is won by Bayern Munich. And the only perfect team so far in the Champions League, Zenit St. Petersburg, has qualified as the winners of Group H.
Guarantee you Man City won't draw them.
Yeah, because Man City's a lock.
It's fixed.
It's what? Well, if Man City wins the group, they won't get Barca right up front.
Yeah, well, we need Juventus to lose, no? Or draw's good enough?
Well, I mean, Juventus is going to face a feisty Sevilla side, as we just talked about with David. Sevilla is really kind of on the cusp of qualifying for the Europa League or bust. And it would be something else if Sevilla did qualify for the Europa League over Mönchengladbach and then actually went on to win it for the 3rd straight year. I think that would be something fantastic.
Some of us consider qualifying for the Europa League bust.
Well, that's true, but in this case, they're going to get a nice batch of healthy, solid teams. So, just to hit that point home, just looking real quick, you're going to have either Valencia or Ghent move in from Group H. You're going to have either Dinamo Kiev, Porto, or Chelsea move in from Group G. You're going to get Olympiacos or Arsenal moving in from Group F. A lot of English sides here. Roma, Leverkusen, or Bate Borisov moving in from E. Group D is going to be, like I said, Mönchengladbach or Sevilla. Group C, right now, we're looking at Galatasaray or Astana. Amazing that Astana, the Kazakhstan side, is within striking distance of making that Europa League, which is something pretty fantastic. But they, I'm trying to see where their last match is being played. And I can't seem to find it at the moment.
Will Borat be there?
No, they'll play. They'll be playing Galatasaray. Astana is going to play Galatasaray on December 8th, which is next week. So, another team that could possibly qualify for the Europa, the way things are going, Manchester United. They're going to be facing Wolfsburg in Germany, who is currently leading the group. That's a situation where Wolfsburg.
That's a good place for them.
What, the Europa? Yeah, I'm sure you'll be happy with that. And then obviously between Shakhtar Donetsk and Malmo, one of them is going to qualify for the Europa. But the runner-up, the only runner-up, solid runner-up right now is Paris Saint-Germain, runner-up to Real Madrid. It can't be changed. And then the other qualified teams for the Champions League are Benfica and Atletico Madrid in Group C. Group winners to still be determined. In Group D, Juventus and Man City have both qualified, and group winners still to be determined. So really, right now, that Group G is really the one to watch, gentlemen. Next week, Porto, Chelsea, Dinamo Kiev, and Maccabi Tel Aviv. Obviously, Tel Aviv has been getting crushed. They've only scored 1 goal in 5 matches. But Kiev, Chelsea, and Porto, 2 of those teams are going through, and the other one is going to be relegated, and Chelsea might want to get used to relegation at this moment. So, yeah. But that's the. And again, next week we're going to have a match of the week. We'll probably have about 2 or 3 different matches of the week, guys, next week, just to look at some of these matchups and see who we're going to get into the knockout stages of the.
How is McCarthy in the Europa or the Champions League?
Winners of the Israeli.
But the Middle East.
No, I think Israel is considered Europe for this matter.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm listen.
Borders be damned.
To me, it's an Asian country.
I don't draw lines on maps. Okay, so
all right. Well, maybe one day Toronto FC will be in the
you never know.
The Champions League.
Europe might annex Canada, and then there you go. So, but next week, like I said, we'll have a few different matches that we'll look at and kind of determine where we think things will go, and see if Man City's going to qualify second and then draw Barca right off the bat.
We won't know by next week's show, though, right? No, it'll be the week after.
No, we'll predict. We'll be predicting.
Right, predict. So, okay.
So just real quick to give due airtime, we're going to go over to the Europa League quickly. And see who has qualified for the knockout stages in that.
We should give half as much time to this.
Well, we'll do what we can. In Group A, Molde's qualified for position, but they're not either winners or runners-up as of yet. Liverpool's also qualified to move through. In Group C, Krasnodar and Borussia Dortmund have both qualified to move through. We don't have a winner yet. In Group D, we have Napoli as the group winner, and we don't have a second team there yet. Group E, we have Villarreal and Rapid Wien. They have both qualified for the knockout stages. Sporting Braga from Portugal in Group F is qualified for the knockout stages. In Group G, group winners, Lazio, second place Saint Etienne as the runners-up. That's set in stone. We have nothing determined in Group H. In Group I, we have Basel winning the group and nothing else. Group J, Tottenham Hotspur has qualified for the knockout stages, but place has not been determined. In Group K, Schalke and Sparta Prague have both qualified for the knockout stages. And in Group L, finally, Athletic Bilbao has qualified as the winner. So between those groups, we'll also pick up 8 more teams from the Champions League, as we had mentioned earlier. And then we'll have home and away legs for a round of 32 in the Europa League, and it'll be interesting to see. We've got, just looking as a quick glance, we've got 2 Spanish sides have qualified, 2 German sides have qualified, 2 Italian sides have qualified, and 2 English sides have qualified. 1 French side, and that's about it at the moment. Otherwise, everybody else is 1-1-1. So, Mike, is that enough due diligence for the Europa League for you?
Plenty.
Fair enough. Next week we'll definitely.
I actually did watch the game of the week, though.
Oh, good. The thing is that in this country, it was Thanksgiving, so I actually got to see 2 or 3 matches from the Europa League this week, which is kind of nice in between cooking the turkey. So, but again, same thing
It
we'll do.
looked damn good, by the way.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. Yeah, that was one of my best ones. I didn't tweet it to Butterball though. I should have, but I
You
did.
left it out on that porch too long. I was driving down to get it.
Yeah, it came out all right. If yeah, I'll tweet a picture of it after for those. I'll tweet it on the Low Limit Football Twitter for those that might want to see it. But what we'll do next week again is we'll pull out a couple of matches here from the knockout state, from these groups, and then determine who's going to move through for the Europa League as well. So that'll do it there.
Did we say our match of the week?
No,
Yeah.
we didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I didn't even mention it. That's right. Our match of the week was Liverpool Bordeaux, and I didn't call up the score here.
2-1 Liverpool.
Thank you. We had predicted
Goals from Bordeaux in the 33rd minute. They went ahead on Henry Save, and then Liverpool, James Milner scored on a penalty, and before the end of the half, Christian Benteke scored to put them ahead 2-1, and there was nothing in the second half.
Yeah. Rob, you got that one perfectly right as well. We all three of us predicted wins for Liverpool in this one. Rob got the right score. So thank you for the update on the match of the week there. And speaking of match of the week, Mike, what do you think, boys? Time to hit our matches of the week for this week?
I just want to mention one match of the week as well.
Sorry.
Yep.
Before anything, we have a Copa Sudamericana final on Wednesday.
That's right. Give us a quick 2-second on that one.
Yep, absolutely. We have a team, Huracan, who beat the defending champions River Plate on Thanksgiving, winning, I believe it was 3-2 in aggregate, and we'll be playing Santa Fe of Colombia. One of these teams will be a first-time winner in the tournament.
Yep, I did.
First final is in Buenos Aires Wednesday.
I did get a chance to see that River Plate Huracan match. That was a pretty good one to watch as well. And really, talk about teams making that push at the last minute. I mean, we saw Inter do it today. We saw New York Red Bull doing it yesterday. We saw Dallas doing it yesterday. And we saw River Plate really putting that all-out effort in the last 5 minutes of that match last week. But it certainly wasn't enough as they fell a goal short. So,
and just one more reminder, Joe, before we go to it. Also, this week is the continuation of the Capital One Cup.
Okay.
Yes, that's right.
So that's tomorrow.
Yep.
And Wednesday, I would assume.
All right.
But we don't have to go through the games. Just a reminder.
What are we?
Man City playing Hull.
Man City. Okay, which should be pretty easy for them. What round are we in for the Capital One Cup there?
Well, we got fourth. The fourth, Rob? Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I think it's fourth. Let me check.
We've still got a little ways to go before we get to, big boy matchups, I guess. But there, usually in those competitions, you'll see somebody come up and stun somebody. We saw Wigan do it a few years ago. So,
yes.
So we certainly, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
We won't talk about who they stung once either.
It's the fifth round.
It's
before the semifinal. It's the quarterfinals.
It's the quarterfinals. Okay. So maybe
we're getting to the nitty gritty because that one ends and then FA Cup starts up after the new year.
So
EPL teams come in. I mean, and Champions League or Championship teams because it actually has already started in other lower levels.
I'm going back through the chat and I just saw Liam put Maccabi are a good source of points. That's fantastic. So, let's go to the match of the week segment of the program, gentlemen. I'm going to throw it over to you, Rob, and give us something to talk about.
Yes, absolutely. In La Liga, we have a good one. We have Valencia against Barcelona, a Saturday at 2:30 p.m. I think this one is pretty simple. As we've spoken to David Cartlidge just a few minutes ago, Valencia are not in a good moment at in this current state, and I think Barcelona are going to run away with it. 3-0, 3-1,
3-1 for Barca in this one. So we're looking at that, and that is Saturday at 2:30 p.m.
Yes.
Moving over to Liga, and our match of the week is a matchup of two top five teams. It's Lyon and Angers on Sunday at 11 a.m. Looking at the run of form for these two teams, guys, these two teams, according to my information, have not faced each other in recent memory, and that's going back at least 6 years. But looking at their recent run of form, Lyon only has one win to show in their last 5 matches in all competitions, and that is a 3-0 victory over Saint Etienne in the league. They've suffered losses to Ghent in the Champions League, Zenit in the Champions League. They've suffered, I'm sorry, I missed it here. Lost to Nice on the road. And most recently this weekend, lost to Montpellier at home 4-2. On the other side, Angers is on a little bit better form, but losers of 3 of their last 5, but most recently defeating Lille 2-0 at home. They did draw Angers in our week of the match last week, 0-0, but prior to that had run with 3 straight losses. I think, I think this one, as much of the match of the week as it is, I think it might be a little bit of a snoozer. But it is in Lyon. I'm going to take a 1-0 Lyon victory in this one. I was going to take a draw, but I think Lyon is going to need to do everything they can to get out of this current run of form. And then hopefully he's going to start it at, against Angers at home on Sunday. So, Mike, I'm going to send it over to you for our quick EPL match of the week.
All right, that's Saturday at the god-awful hour of 7:45 a.m. Stoke versus Manchester City. I'll do the simulation on Friday. We did get it right last week, so we moved to 8 and 6. I guess one interesting story note from this is Man City goes to their former manager Mark Hughes' place and gets a win.
There you go. So that's our half prediction at the moment.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Man City's going to win. I'll be surprised if they didn't.
I just want to confirm it's going to rain in Stoke.
It's on Saturday?
Yeah.
Nice. Doesn't it always rain?
Always.
I was just going to say, does it always rain there?
Yeah.
So,
it does.
All right, Rob, how about the Bundesliga? I know. Ian gave us a quick preview of Bayern Munich Wolfsburg this weekend, which I probably should have picked, but I just feel like, it's not going to affect the standings either way because no matter who wins, Bayern's still going to be a million points ahead of Dortmund. So that's why
definitely.
That's why I went with this matchup. So
yep, that's right. For our Bundesliga match of the week will be Hertha Berlin against Bayer Leverkusen Saturday at 9:30 a.m. Hertha Berlin are currently in 5th with 23 points, while Bayer Leverkusen are in 21 points. A win for either side would see them in 5th place, and I think I'm going to go for Bayer Leverkusen 2-1.
2-1 for the road team in Leverkusen. And that was Saturday at 9:30. You mentioned that, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Serie A this week. It's Friday. We haven't been able to pick a Saturday or Sunday match now in a couple weeks, but the Friday matchup this week is a great one. Lazio Juventus Friday at 2:45 in Rome. Looking at this one and the current match, current run of form between the two teams, we talk about Juventus, the hottest team right now in the Serie A. They've won 4 straight. They're undefeated in their last 5 matches. Their last blemish on their record is a draw to Mönchengladbach in the Champions League back on November 3rd, a 1-1 draw. But other than that, defeating Empoli, defeating AC Milan, defeating Man City in the Champions League, and a 3-0 victory this weekend over Palermo. Lazio has not been quite as lucky. They just suffered a loss this weekend on the road to Empoli 1-0. Prior to that, they did beat Dnipro in their Europa match. But they did draw Palermo a week before 1-1. They lost to Roma, who's been floundering at best, 2-0 prior to that as well. So I don't think anybody's stopping Juventus at this point in time. I'm going to take a 3-1 Juventus victory in this one. I also think Lazio is really starting to slip a little bit and not showing the teeth that they kind of had last year for the Serie A. So I think I don't think Juventus will have a completely easy time of this, but I certainly think they will be a decisive winner. So, Mike, I think actually we're going to all do this one, gentlemen.
Yep.
That is going to be the MLS Cup final, which is this weekend. So, Mike, do you want to give us the quick preview and maybe start us off with the predictions?
It's Sunday, actually, at 4 p.m. Unfortunately, it's going to be up against the NFL in terms of ratings, but that doesn't affect us watching the game at all. So I think Columbus has one MLS title.
Yes, they do. They actually defeated the New York Red Bull for
2008, and obviously this is Portland's 5th year in the league, so they have none.
Yep.
So it's... Sorry?
The quick fact on Portland, the last time they played for a championship, and I wrote it down here, was the 1975 NASL championship.
40 years ago.
Yep. So this is the first time they're playing in a championship match in 40 years.
Wow.
Something special.
And unfortunately for them, I'm taking Columbus to win this one 2-1.
2-1.
In extra time.
In added extra time. How about you, Rob? What do you want to put on this one?
Well, since I can't go to that final and celebrate my 18th birthday on this Sunday, that doesn't mean that I should go against the team that knocked us out. I think that Columbus are a great team. They perform well. We've seen what Kai Kamara could do alongside Ethan Finley, and this is why he is the top goal scorer in MLS with Giovinco. And I think that given the advantage of playing at home in front of a huge crowd, a very intensifying crowd in Columbus. I'm going to go with Mike's same score, but it will be during the 90 minutes, 2-1.
In the 90 minutes, 2-1 in favor of Columbus. I'm going to be the kiss of death. I'm going to make both of you guys right because there's something to me about this Portland side that's magical. If you remember at the end of the season, I said Caleb Porter should be the coach of the year for the job that he had done at Portland so far, getting them to where they were. And he hasn't done me wrong as of yet. He's taken this team all the way to the final. But obviously, as Toronto saw, I am quite the kiss of death in these things. And unfortunately, I want Portland to win. I'm rooting for Portland. So as much as it is for Ian Joy, as a former member of that side, I just think they're the kind of the Cinderella story, and it would really be nice to see them win a championship after 40 years. So I am taking Portland with the same score that basically Ian gave us, 3-2 Portland. And I apologize to all Portland fans around the world that are supporting them this year. It's been one hell of a ride. One thing's for sure, this is going to be one of the big must-watch moments of Sunday. I think people who don't tune into this thing are idiots because the matchups and the matches that we've seen in this MLS playoff this year have been nothing short of phenomenal. Last night's matches did not disappoint at all. And I don't think we're going to get any disappointment out of this match coming up on Sunday at 4 o'clock. So,
do you think Ted will be watching?
No, Ted won't watch. Daniela Bornare won't be watching either.
Will Jim?
Jim will watch. Jim will watch. Jim, as much as he wants pro rel, Jim is a football nut. And
he's involved with Colorado, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. So he's but Jim is a footy nut. I mean, and he loves the sport. I mean, and that's one of the things we love about Jim Hart is the fact that he is so passionate about this sport that he just
basically I feel like guys like Ted and them are never going to see North American soccer on that level because it's never happening what they want.
I agree with you 100%, but at the same time, I those guys still keep it, it's the kind of thing where they're watching the scary movie and they've got their hands over their eyes, but they got their fingers cracked a little bit.
Yeah, okay, well that's what I meant. Do you think you'd be watching? Because there's just no, I would not to get into it, but there's just no way it's happening.
Not
in this day and age. It was 100 years ago.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Unfortunately, but
when franchises didn't have the value they have now, and nobody is going to agree to go down and play in front of 50 people in Ottawa.
Yeah, and it's it is what it is. We
don't have to go. We've been through it, but yeah.
Well, let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Do we see a plane flying promotion relegation now, like we did last season?
I think you could. I think that's a serious probability. I mean, does it get? The thing is that plane got picked up on Twitter. It didn't get picked up on like ESPN.
I think it did. I think it was on TV.
I don't remember seeing it there, but at the same time, I try not to pay attention to the 4-letter word.
I wish it would happen, but it's just not going to. That's all. It's just not going to happen.
All right, one thing we'll just talk about real quick, and again, I don't want to get into this one as much as you guys. Do you think? And we've kind of covered this in the past. Do you think MLS needs promotion relegation to develop players to the level that we see in Europe?
Yes.
No.
We can either debate it for 2 hours or we can leave it at that.
We'll leave it like that.
Let's leave it at that. No, I don't think so, and he does.
Fair enough. Maybe what we'll do, maybe one of our next roundtables will be a pro rel guy versus a non pro rel guy, and then we'll just turn our mics off and let them go.
Yeah. But we'll wait a little while for that one. I'm still getting over Ted.
No, but hey, Ted's a great guest.
No, he's well versed in what he wants.
Absolutely.
That's for sure.
Yep. No.
And I'm not against what he wants. I just can't ever see it happening.
Right. I agree. So gentlemen, that's our match of the week segment of the program. Mike, would you like to refresh our memory on the trivia question?
Okay, just let me get up to it. Okay, who was the first non-European player to score 20 or more goals in a Premier League season?
Now, I think we've had a similar question to this in the past. So, Rob, I want to go first, and I'm pretty sure I'm wrong.
Go for it.
Carlos Tevez.
No.
Yeah, I knew I was wrong. but I know there's somebody before him.
Earlier.
Yeah,
Yes, earlier.
yeah, and it's escaping me. You asked a similar question like this, something about the top 3 non-Euros. I think you asked about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And and I know Tevez was one of the answers, but I couldn't remember if he was the first one.
Okay.
And so I, go ahead, Rob.
Didier Drogba?
No.
And then it was the third guy that we can't think of on the list.
Dwight York.
Yes.
That's the one. That's the one. Those were the 3 names, too, by the way. Tevez, York, and Drogba. And I couldn't remember York's name.
He was pretty good.
Yeah. So
it was either him that was in my mind. It was either him or Drogba.
Yep. So Dwight York, the first non-European to score 20 or more goals in the EPL. So, gentlemen, any final comments before I hit the closing music?
Congratulations to the Edmonton Eskimos on winning the Grey Cup yesterday.
Congratulations to them.
There you go.
Good game, too.
So without further ado. So for episode 100 of Low Limit Football, I want to send out a special thank you again to Ian Joy of Fox Sports and to David Cartlidge of 442 and BeIN Sports. Also to the folks in the chat, Liam, Luca. We also saw Jack Fremy in there tonight. I know Debbie Santos will be listening somewhere along the way. Zach Draken also listens. I want to thank him. I'm also missing Troy Vink. Troy Vink is also a common listener to the show.
And my girlfriend.
And your girlfriend. I want to thank to all the listeners that we've had over the 100 episodes. And also a special shout out to the Machine, who was one of the main ones to get this started. Special thanks to him as well. It's been a fantastic ride, and like Ian said, hopefully he's around for episode 200, but we're going to have him back definitely before then. So, for episode 100 of Low Limit Football, I am Joe Usello.
And I'm Roberto Rojas saying here's to 100 more episodes.
And I'm Mike Orr saying thanks, everyone.
And Rob, feliz cumpleaños. Good night.
Muchísimas gracias.